Let's call the meeting to order of the Friendswood Downtown Economic Development Corporation at 4:01 p.m. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and special guests in the audience. First on our agenda is communications from the public. Yes.
On your agenda later on is, just as a reminder, donation to the Friendswood Historical Society for the newest mural in downtown Friendswood. It was roughly a $10,000 project. We were able to raise, Historical Society kicked in 5,000. We were out trying to raise another five. This mic? Yeah. And you may not be on. Don't see a light. Can you hear me, Katie?
Stephen, you've got backup cameras everywhere, but no background.
Test, test.
Podium has become quite the.
Okay, my name is Sally Branson. I live at 411 Fallow Lane. On your agenda later on this evening is an item with regard to a donation to the Friendswood Historical Society. And just as a reminder, we talked about this a while back. We did a mural. It's on the inside of the fence facing the Brown Museum right behind the Tanos building. This was a $10,000 project. The Historical Society raised $5,000. We were out trying to raise the other $5,000, and I came to you all at one point in time asking if you might consider making a $1,000 donation to that. I have held off on getting a plaque made for that because if this group would like to make a donation, I would very much like for you to get the publicity for that. If not, I totally understand, no feelings hurt, but I just wanted to throw that out there. It's an effort to bring other nonprofits together. The Masons kicked in some money, and I'm sorry, I don't have my list with me, but the Chamber of Commerce kicked in some money. Rotary kicked in some money. We have multiple organizations. Downtown Association kicked in some money. So I was just trying to bring all the nonprofits together and try to help each other. So I'm hoping we begin a trend that just says that the nonprofits will work together to create some additional downtown art opportunities in Friendswood. So that's all I was going to say. You didn't start my clock.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the public? Okay, we shall move on to the approval of the minutes, which are in your packet and were sent to you by email.
Pat,
Yes,
one
Rebecca.
correction.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. It's a rule. One correction is I'm not listed as present or absent.
Ruh-roh.
That was the only correction I saw.
So I was absent, so
I
were you
was-
present?
I
or
was
absent?
present.
Thank you. Are there other comments or corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes with that correction?
I'll make a motion we approve the amendments with that correction.
Second.
And second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The election of officers is at that time again, Stephen and Aubrey. Seems like we just did this. So we have to elect a president, a vice president, and a secretary treasurer. Yes, Mr. Cox.
I nominate.
Is your microphone on?
For clarification, you served a second year, didn't you,
I
Patrick?
served a second year as
yeah.
president.
Yeah. So, in the interest of rotating, I nominate Rebecca Hillenberg as president.
There's a motion on the floor to nominate Rebecca Hillenberg as president. Is there a second?
No second.
I'll second.
Sorry.
I'll second Pat.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Well, I'll comment that I am pleased with the nomination and I wholly support it and know that you'll do a great job.
We haven't voted yet.
Well, there's a motion and a second to nominate Rebecca as our next president. Do you have comments about that? I think it's a great choice.
There you go.
Thank you, Paul.
Say it again.
I think that's a great, is it on?
It's on now.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice. I agree.
Okay, any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions?
Abstention.
The ayes have it. Congratulations. Now, Stephen, when will that start at the next meeting or?
Next meeting.
Okay, great. The next office is that of our vice president. And is there a nomination for vice president? And Trey is our vice president currently.
I was going to nominate you, Bubba. You haven't done anything like that. Like I haven't done anything like this. I nominate Bubba.
Yes, you can. So we have a motion and a second to nominate Bubba as our next vice president. Is there further discussion? I think it's a great idea too. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Can I abstain?
Congratulations. You may abstain, yes. All right.
Who's the secretary treasurer now?
That's,
You are?
Yes.
Paul is.
So that means everybody will have had an office at least once. So let's just nominate Paul to remain as secretary treasurer.
I'm okay with that.
okay. Well, go ahead and make,
I would nominate Paul to remain secretary treasurer.
okay, we have a motion and a second for Paul Marks to remain as our secretary treasurer. Is there further comment? I think it's a great idea too. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Well, congratulations to our 3 new officers for the next term.
So I just wanted to say that I appreciate your work, Patrick, for the 2 years, and everybody else's work to kind of keep us in the right direction. And what I really like about how you've steered it is you've brought us back to that plan every single time.
Yes.
I don't know if you brought it in today or not, but
I didn't.
but you usually even do that. So I appreciate doing that. And you might want to reflect that since Trey Hill was not here, he was not elected to anything because if he didn't have the audacity to show up. I've got to get even with him somehow for all the embarrassments that he's given me, and I can only do it when he's absent.
Because you know it will come right back.
I can't win.
We will
You-
tell Trey to watch the film.
You know, normally at meetings at NASA, if you don't show up, you get all the actions. So we could just give him all the actions of this meeting.
We can
It's a good way to get back. It may be time for a score check.
Yep, 6 to 1.
All right, go Astros. Item 5, discussion and possible action. 5A, discuss and take possible action regarding the approval of the fiscal year 2021 to 2022 proposed budget.
Did we get it on? There we go. So on this slide we have here for the proposed budget for fiscal year 2021, 2022, this is just lays out the nuts and bolts of it, and basically just the beginning fund balance and what's projected to be the total revenue. On the next slide, it is broken down a little bit more, but for all intents and purposes, the ending fund balance of 0 is predicated on the fact that this group anticipates spending all of its money on downtown projects. The one most forthcoming is the lighting, and so that's what's reflected there. for the overall projections for your revenue, it shows your sales tax and what the projected interest is going to be throughout the next year, along with the expenditures, which you'll see under capital improvements. That 2.82 million is there for set aside for the lights. So the total expenditures being $2,842,272 projected up into the next fiscal year.
Thank you, Stephen. Are there any questions for Stephen or Aubrey on the proposed budget?
So this is an action item to be voted on to approve or disapprove the proposed budget.
Move approval.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the proposed budget and a second. Is there further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item B, discuss and take possible action regarding a monetary donation to the Friendswood Historical Society downtown mural installation.
So I would just real quickly just like to kind of go into the Wayback Machine real quick. We do remember the last meeting got canceled due to the Hurricane Nicholas, and then the prior meeting, Historical Society, Friendswood Historical Society member Branson came up and kind of reiterated what was going on with the mural and asked for support. And then again today, there is no actual dollar figure set here, but if you recall, it was set at $1,000 is what she requested. It's up to the board to decide. I did check with Mary Kay, the city attorney. This expense is one that would be acceptable based upon the bylaws and the incorporation of the FDEDC.
So just to clarify, we don't have to get approval from council to do this.
Any expenditures would have to go through council, but based upon how the corporation was set up, this is an acceptable expenditure. So yes, you would have to go, and that would have to go to city council as well.
Okay.
Is there a motion in relation to this agenda item?
I move we make a $1,000 monetary donation to the Friendswood Historical Society downtown mural installation.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to make a $1,000 donation to the Friendswood Historical Society downtown mural installation. Is there a second?
I would second.
Competing seconds. So we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Just to say that it is a beautiful asset to our downtown. Starting probably in the spring, the second and third graders are going to start annual revisits. They used to do it to the Brown House and to the Friendswood Independent School District Museum. And they'll do one year and one the next. And so this mural is a beautiful statement of the history in addition to being part of that piece of property.
And it was a very interesting story about the artist that did the painting too, and it escapes me now, but we recognize Miss Sally.
So thank you for bringing that up. McKenna Harkleroad Jim Fortone, who grew up and is a product of our Friendswood Independent School District, she's now an art teacher over at Westwood, but she was the inspiration. This was all of her inspiration. We walked her through the museum. A little known fact, I don't know if Steve's on the Historical Society board as well. The blue background is actually a nod to the blue wallpaper that's in the master bedroom of the Brown Museum. And I appreciate Rebecca bringing up kind of like if y'all are familiar with Where's Waldo, there are there's little hidden figures nodding to our history, like Fargo the dog, the academy, some different things. So when the children do come, they're going to be asked to identify some of those things. So it's very much a learning opportunity, which is no surprise given McKenna's background, not only as growing up here in Friendswood, but now as an art teacher. So we are very excited about this project. We're very appreciative. So no pressure again, but I'm very excited where y'all are right now. So thank you.
Councilman Rocky, would you please step?
There's 5 crops featured on that, which were all crops that the original settlers grew here. So
It was figs and
Satsuma oranges.
satsumas, rice.
Strawberries, rice, satsuma oranges, and gardenias.
What was the last one?
Gardenias.
So, as the story goes, I know, sorry. So, as the story goes, there were folks all over the country that wanted our gardenias. Apparently, we've got Joyce would be upset with me for not knowing the specific name. There's a specific type of gardenia that was grown here, native, and they would ship it as far away as like New Jersey and New York, and very labor intensive to get them ready to ship them. But yeah, so we were known for that. So yes, our gardenias are very special.
And one other point, excuse me, I didn't ask, I apologize. One other point is one of the things that is so significant in Friendswood is that holding on to our history and spreading it. And since the children are going to be participating, and this is a significant step.
Are there other comments? Well, I'll speak out. I will speak against this monetary donation. I love the idea. I love the mural, but I think it's too far away from our plan that we've been working towards for several years. And kind of evidence of that is the next item on the agenda is another request for another donation from us. I think we ought to stick with the plan and focus our resources there. Should we approve this tonight, it'll be great for the mural, but then who's to say who's going to come to us next month and say, here's a wonderful idea, and yes, it'll be in the downtown, and why shouldn't the FDEDC also support that? So my colleagues, I would recommend we stick to our plan and fulfill that primarily. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate your comments, and they're not unexpected. You're consistent. You're consistent. And I'm going to say I agree and I disagree. First off, I'm going to vote for this motion. But secondly, I was about to suggest that we establish a policy of some kind on what organizations we might make contribution to, what effect based on what effect that contribution would have on downtown, and who those types of organizations would be, nonprofits or whatever the case may be. Because you're exactly right. Now that we've made one contribution, well, apparently we're about to make another one. I didn't know that, but others are gonna want a contribution. I think we ought, and it's a pot of money, and I think we ought to set some criteria in that regard.
I appreciate that, and that would have to be a separate
Sure.
agenda item at a future meeting.
Exactly. Yeah, we can't do that tonight, but if we could instruct the staff maybe to establish a draft policy that we could take a look at, if the group is agreeable, that I think it'd be helpful.
Okay, further comments on this agenda item? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. All those against, please say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. Item number C, item letter C, discuss and take possible action regarding the Friendswood Independent School District tree relocation. And Stephen, can you take us in the Wayback Machine again on this one?
Sure. If you'll recall from the August FDEDC meeting, Dr. Hillenberg brought up kind of during some of the ongoing discussions about the trees down the street here on FM 518 at the old parsonage property, was that FISD in their upcoming construction has many mature trees that will have to be removed as part of their new construction. And so staff was asked to put an item on the agenda regarding the potential for having these trees relocated somewhere in town, being that it's this group looking at it, they would have to be downtown in some sense or form. So within the downtown district, these trees would have to be relocated. And we do not know if there's room necessarily where they would go. And FISD has indicated that if we fit along their timeline, they're kind of open to anything, but their timelines are fairly aggressive depending on what site they're on.
Thank you. Is there a motion from the board regarding this agenda item? Paul?
Well, yeah, that was kind of my thought. Where would we put these trees? They
Yeah.
would have to be within the downtown district, and I can't think of any place really where we could put, okay.
I know of a lot where the parsonage used to be. We could put a tree right there.
You think it would fit? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. May I just, I brought that before the board just to make us all aware of that opportunity. There is no tie to doing this. There is no spot that I have as designated. I see no reason to move forward with this at this point. If you have been out there by the high school where those houses were, they're gone. So it's changed a lot. And I think the school district's timeline would not necessarily match what we need to invest the money to move a tree. So I'm not making a motion.
All right, well then this item dies for lack of a motion. Item D, discuss and take possible action regarding the downtown lighting plan and TxDOT curbs, ramps, sidewalks, and traffic signals project.
So with these next few items here, just some basic updates. As you know, everyone knows this project is under construction. They're moving at a pretty quick clip, considering the weather that they've been having. If you recall, they did request to be able to work during the weekends, and I haven't necessarily seen them on Sundays, but I have seen them out on Saturdays aplenty. And they are almost to FM 2351 with the sidewalk demolition. They have a kind of a process where they leapfrog sometimes little sections, and it's all dependent on the amount of concrete that comes within a concrete truck. So they can only fill. They need to have a full truck when they need to have the ability to have a full truck empty on site before they move on. And so you've seen they've done plenty of driveways. They've done a bunch of sidewalks thus far and a bunch of demolition. The engineering, we continue to work with with HDR, who is the electrical contractor. If you recall, that's done the electrical drawings for the lighting, along with Gandy to get the RFP ready to go. The engineer's cost estimates we found out last week should be available anytime. And so that's going to be kind of the next big milestone, is waiting on those engineer cost estimates to come back and see if what we think those lights are going to cost or potentially what we could expect in the RFP.
When you say cost of the lights, does that include the foundation?
That includes, that's a full turnkey installation is what we're going for.
As
Yes,
far
sir.
as the installation, I know the conduit's being put in. I saw it on my way
Yes, sir.
here. And that'll include the circuiting also.
This would be the intent for the RFP is to be a start to finish turnkey. So that's going to be the removal of the existing lighting and putting the environmental conditions back to what they were previously, the installation of the lights, the foundations, the fixtures, the circuitry, the wire pull, everything. So we're going to have a full package to bid out. We're just hoping that those engineers' estimates come back in the realm of what we're thinking.
Okay, yeah, that's what we need.
Going towards the discussions with the lighting, the public outreach for the lighting replacement has begun. Alton Todd was very gracious to go and present to Rotary and had a great presentation, just gave an overall update along with the downtown projects and then along with the lighting as well. Pat McGinnis presented to council just last week in a workshop. And we're going to begin, staff is going to begin reaching out to some of the downtown businesses this week to try to set up some meetings to go ahead and see if we can get 3 or 4 people that are really involved in downtown, kind of in the same room. We can run through what we anticipate coming up to start really getting that word spread throughout downtown. We think the community's probably gotten their fair share at Rotary and then at council. So if we can start it with the folks that are really going to be impacted, that's going to be a big step for us.
I have 2 questions. So just driving down the street and looking at the new sidewalk, I kind of have expected to see some areas where it would, obviously, there's going to be a light there, like an outcropping or something that looks like a foundation to, again, just driving down, I haven't walked anything, but it looks like it's all sidewalk and no specific places for a light. So are you walking that? I mean, are you verifying, okay, they've got the cutout or the space to do the foundation? It just, just glancing at it from my car, it doesn't look like there's those spots.
So in discussions with TxDOT, it's basically trust the process on we're installing the sidewalks. Those locations were indicated in the plans previously along with the conduits. And so we anticipate those spots being protected in such a way that when the foundations are cut in, that we do not cause any unnecessary damage to the sidewalks. But I agree with you. And we have been in communications with TxDOT, and they tell us everything is A-okay.
Okay, because looking at that, I agree with Pat. There's no room. These streetlights are going to be in the sidewalk. That's the only place you can put them.
And we'll reach back out to TxDOT and we'll see if we can get further confirmation. To their in conversations, it's the tune is that we are just now kind of in this phase one of these sidewalks going in. We're just doing the concrete, allow us to get a little bit further. There's no brick pavers currently, and the mast arms haven't been installed yet. So in their phased approach, they are still something that's coming.
So will you report back to us on that specific question? Then my second, it's really more of a request. First of all, Alton, thank you for presenting to the Rotary, because I couldn't get off work at that moment. But when we begin to reach out to downtown businesses, I hope all of us can volunteer to help Stephen and Aubrey do that. It'll be good PR for our group, and it would be helpful to them, and it spreads the work out a little bit. Are we going to do anything with the Chamber of Commerce? Would that be a efficient way to reach many of these businesses, or is that overkill?
Staff does have participation in their monthly meeting, and it's something that can be brought up as part of our monthly meeting with them. If someone from the FDDC would like to attend and maybe give more of the vision behind everything. Staff does not have an issue with the nuts and bolts, but overall the vision came from this group, and I think it's better presented that way, so it's not looked as staff as trying to push this project. This vision came from years of work, the downtown improvement plan, and to follow that plan forward has been the vision of the group thus far. So I don't have any issue with either Aubrey or myself presenting in front of the chamber. And if a member of FTDC would like to be there to kind of shore up the vision behind the overall project, I think that would be great.
I think Ron was anxious to speak first.
Well, I'm not anxious, but but you suggested the chamber. I might suggest the FDFA, because their membership is also focused on downtown. They might be an avenue for communication.
So the FDFA is a prime target for staff to go visit with, and they're on our list of number one contacts. I know they have their meetings that would be great to present at, and then being that it is FDFA, all those folks are in one way or another are being impacted by the current project. So that's a great suggestion.
Could you keep us posted on those dates, and then we can communicate back with you if we're going to attend?
Oh, for sure. I'll make sure everyone here knows whenever there is a meeting time. Some we're hoping to facilitate here with owners, but then others like the FDFA will happen after normal operating hours here at the city.
All right, any further questions, discussion? Okay, then item E, discuss and take possible action regarding the downtown signage and branding.
So just as an update, we continue to visit with the buy board companies, the co-op companies, to kind of see what their expertise is on putting mainly some of the median signs currently. But all that is kind of dependent on the second item there, is with TxDOT continues to review our street signage. We've discussed it a couple of times. The orange can sometimes be viewed as a cautionary signage, as you can see up the street at the bridge. However, they did indicate to us that they thought it was going to be okay. However, the only way to get any kind of a thumbs up is if you submit. And so that's what we've done, and we wait to hear back from them.
Clearly not the same color orange.
No, sir. And then did I skip ahead?
We are.
This
on
is
item-
signage and branding. We're good still. So I just wanted to let the group know that finally the sign machine has been delivered to Public Works. So that's great. And their staff training is to begin shortly on that machine. The old machine, if you're familiar with what a plotter looks like, you had to feed a bunch of materials and you had to do all kinds of different things. And I was instructed this morning that it looks more or less like word art that you would get from a Word document is what it used to be on our previous machine. The new one is state of the art, can take very high definition graphics, can do a sign that is as wide as 60 inches and as long as you can get it. So we would have the ability to do all different colors, all different types of graphics. So we look forward to staff getting trained up on that, and then we can move forward with the street signage to go ahead and show the boundaries of downtown with your normal street intersections being having the new signs put up.
And so I believe last time we had this discussion, there was a question as to the size of the street signs being on the traffic signals. And I believe that at the time, I think you said that the machine wasn't able to produce a sign that big, but now you're saying they will. So,
That's correct.
oh, great, that's great.
Mhm.
Yeah. They look good on our new signals, traffic signals.
And so just to move forward on the branding and some of the signage, we've had a few more businesses request the decals, and you can spot them up and down downtown. I had somebody call last Friday just wanting to see how they could get one, and we were able to get her one. And as time allows, city staff is going to continue to, as we maneuver up and down downtown for different businesses or for different items, we often pop in and try to deliver some of these. I have a bunch in my office. If anybody here has contacts downtown they would like to drop one off. And I also have a whole pack in my truck just because as I drive around, I pull in and visit with people here and there as I get my truck worked on or get a haircut or you name it.
Great. Any other comments on this agenda item? It's time for an Astros score check. What inning? Bottom of the
There we
seventh. Thank you. Item 6, reports. A, receive and discuss the downtown district's project schedule.
So as always, or as I always mention, these are some very aggressive timelines that we do try to hit. The sidewalks continue to be under construction. The contractor has not asked for any additional days, hoping that they could go ahead and complete the project by the end of the year. I'm optimistic as fast as they're going, but I honestly do think it's probably going to take into a little bit of 2022 just based upon the weather that they've been having. The signage and branding we just discussed. We are still in discussion with some of these billboard companies, and hopefully by the end of the month we'll hear something from TxDOT and we can navigate how to move forward. And then the lighting, hopefully we will get our estimates from HDR and Gandy so we can finalize the RFP and get it to be advertised and then get it back to us as soon as possible so we can see how to move forward.
Do you know when they're going to start the traffic signal construction?
I do not. They have not indicated the traffic signals just yet.
Any more questions on that one? Okay. Item B, receive and discuss the Friendswood Downtown Economic Development Corporation financial report for September 2021.
So just to go over the last report that was provided, your beginning fund balance for September of 2021 was $2,180,886, with a revenue of $54,306 in September. Our revenues have been coming in at a fairly steady clip all across the city for sales tax, and it's been great. As for expenditures, there was nothing outside of the normal transfer to the general fund for staff services, and the group ended up with a ending fund balance of just over $2.2 million.
Questions, comments? Okay. What is next? Item number 7, comments. Receive comments from staff members.
So I was approached by a couple of members of the Planning Commission. They've had some conversations on and off with Texas New Mexico Power regarding the relocation of the overhead power lines off of FM 518. You may recall some of these discussions go back many years. They've had many different price tags, just depending on who you spoke to and what the outcome they thought was going to be. In some of these discussions over the past year, Texas and Mexico has actually put pen to paper to see what it would actually take. And their estimates kind of come from 7 to 12 million to 5 to 7 million, and they're slowly starting to eke down as they try to find ways to move these lines off of 518. Would there be any interest in the group here for me to potentially reach out to either members of Planning Commission or members of Texas New Mexico to take part in either a workshop or just a discussion where they could come in and kind of give their ideas of what they think they might be able to do? I can request that they come in either in the next meeting or the meeting after.
I think that'd be a great idea.
I do too. The more communication, the more we know.
I don't know whether Ron can remember that far back. No criticism there, Ron. But in 2000, when we were meeting and we discussed this with Texas New Mexico Power, and I think it wanted about $1.5 million or so at that time to bury the lines.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was somewhere $1.5 million, $1.8 million. We just didn't happen to have $1.5 million, $1.8 million. But
Too bad it's still not that cheap.
Mm-hmm.
right, and in another 10 years, it's not going to be less either.
No.
Also, there's going to be more cost than that, because if you look up there, I see at least 5 communication cables up there. You would have to include the cost of that as well. So that's additional cost.
Stephen, from your comments, I get the hint that Texas New Mexico has an incentive to move these lines away from 518. Am I reading into your comments too much?
Maybe just a little too much. It is great news to know that they've put pen to paper and actually laid out how it may transpire, which is a step further than they've taken historically. Now, whether it's an overestimation of what they think they can do just yet, but I don't think it would be a bad idea to have a presentation, whether it's from Planning Commission members who have spoken to Texas New Mexico, or whether it's from Texas New Mexico Power themselves to come in and kind of relay the idea. It may be something for the group to think about. I know as some projects begin to fall off the map with the sidewalks and potentially the lighting and the branding, what projects may come up in the future. And as Mr. Cox mentioned, it's not going to get any cheaper as we move forward. So it should be something to think about, and I think it'd be a good idea for the presentation if you guys are open to it.
So I would, based on your suggestions about who makes the presentation, I'd say a little of both. I'd say invite T&P, but also make sure we invite the P&Z to come as well, to initiate the discussion.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'll reach out to both entities, and we'll see if we can set them up for November, December, or whatever's available.
Did they give any indication as to whether they were going to bury the lines or just relocate them? Because
My understanding is it would just be to relocate. I think there
Relocate.
is, there is so much within the right-of-way of FM 518 that would be a monumental effort to get those lines put underneath anywhere close enough. So my guess would be, you're probably familiar with some of the plans that have come up in the past, is to move the lines a block or two off of 518 and just try to reroute the services.
that would be my recommendation. I've worked on those type of projects before. Yeah. So
Pat, can I say
Yes,
something?
yes.
You know,
Is your mic on?
yes, this one is. I'm gonna bar Trey since he's not here. At the last meeting, and I can't remember, it might have been Alton or you, Pat, had mentioned, we need to start thinking on down the road further. And this power line relocation is something we talked about in the very beginning of this group's origins. So it's something to keep in the back of our mind. If TNP and whoever is already thinking the same way, I think it would behoove us to stay in lockstep with them, just so we would have something to progress towards.
I agree with that. I agree with everyone. This is a good idea. And following the success of our current strategy, strategically thinking, okay, maybe this is the next big phase of the FDEDC. And if we came up with a plan around this, who knows if there would be some matching grants or monies like from HGAC or some other source like TxDOT has done for the sidewalks project. So I think you have a resounding yes. Let's put that on the books.
I do, sir. Thank you.
Aubrey, anything from you?
Yes, actually, we have 2 zone changes going through the process right now. Just going to give you all a heads up on those. So Banfield Properties has submitted a zone change application to change the zoning of their 2 office buildings, which were they were changed to a planned unit development back in 2007. They built that as an example of what downtown district zoning regulations could look like. And so they're actually changing that property to downtown district now. And then the other request is for a specific use permit for 30 hotel rooms to be part of their future mixed-use development. They've acquired several properties and combined with their office park, and they're in the process of planning a large mixed-use project. And a piece of that is the 30 hotel rooms. So they want to answer on that. It would be an overlay on top of the downtown district zoning. And so once they get that, then they'll move forward with the planning of the rest of their project, which includes restaurants, office, a rooftop bar, some more like single-family units, but on the second floor and up in downtown district, I think about 30 units, apartment units. So it'll be a neat development and another significant improvement for downtown. So the public hearing will go to Planning and Zoning Commission this Thursday, the 14th at 7 p.m. P&Z will make their recommendation, and it'll go to City Council on Monday, November 1st. For public hearing and first reading of the ordinance.
Is that in our lane? Is that in our purview? Do we have any decision authority in this, or is this strictly a city council decision?
Not decision authority as far as the board, like as far as FDEDC, but definitely, if you want to attend to support, as residents, support the project, I would encourage you to attend and give Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council, or oppose, to give your input. But as far as the board itself, no actions required.
Okay. All right. Thank you both. 7B, receive comments from the board members. Let's start with Ron.
So it's great news to hear about the Banfields project. I kind of heard rumors for a good while, so now it's public, so that's great. I did see Joe Matranga at an event last week, and he indicated that he thought it was about time for the P&Z to kind of deal with some of the regulatory issues in downtown that we had visited with. Has he had any? I think this was just a general conversation, so he may be mad at me for bringing it up. But has there been any discussion about getting those kinds of things back on their agenda?
Stephen and I talked about it a few weeks ago. At this time, the only thing that's in concrete would be to change our design criteria manual to incorporate TxDOT's design with the brick pavers on each side of the concrete sidewalk, just so that both design options are in our criteria manual. We were going to wait a little bit longer to see how the lighting project progresses. Once we have some more sure footing on where that project and timing of that project, then we could go back in and eliminate the pedestrian lighting requirement for the downtown district zoning.
Okay, and I think there was some discussion about the park bench requirements as well, but I'm not sure quite how that fits in my memory.
Yeah, so the zoning ordinance just requires a minimum of 2 benches per development right now. So we can look into that again
Yeah,
as well.
I think it's more for me, it's not whether or not they ought to be required, it's how they're configured. I never shall forget the picture that Lauren Griffith put up about, person sitting there looking out on the street and watching the traffic go by in the sun, sitting in the sun. And if it just seems like if we could figure out a way to relocate those, configure those in some way, and if the city were to license a portion of not the right of way, but license a portion of the private property behind the right of way to reconfigure those, there might be some ways to do that as opposed to just requiring them to do that if it needs to happen that way. But anyway, I was just curious about what y'all's thoughts were with regard to the regulatory environment.
We're actually, we'll be having our annual retreat in December, and that would be a good item to put on our ordinance subcommittee's to-do list for next year.
But great job. It's exciting news. It's fun. I was relating this very project to a group today, earlier today up in Montgomery County, and they were, just relating how doing a plan makes such a difference. I mean, without the plan, we'd have never gotten the 2.5 million. So it's just an amazing. It's not a coincidence. It's an amazing process when it works. Thanks.
Rebecca.
Well, I want to thank you, Pat, and all the other people that have served before me, and the fact that you have the confidence for me to do this. Just for Aubrey and Stephen's respect, I am not a micromanager, so you don't have to worry there. You just take care of what you do so beautifully, and we appreciate that greatly. So thank you all. Appreciate you, Pat.
I don't have much to say. I'm just excited to, see that we are finally moving forward and looking forward to getting this project completed.
Alton?
I was just wondering, am I going to be sitting by Rebecca and you're going to be sitting by Ron?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll switch.
I can do it from here.
I kind of see that as an improvement.
No doubt.
You're fine. Thank you, Allison.
I want to echo everyone's comments about your leadership as president has been very instrumental in where we are in keeping us focused, and I think done a wonderful job. And one other thing too, with our presentation to Rotary, Stephen was great to go with me and kind of keep me in line. Has a great power plan to show, and we use that. I did have one addition to it though. I added a picture from Joyce Baker's book from 1920 and what Main Street looked like. Wow. Just to show that we have done a little something since then. But I also want to add, too, that not only is Stephen a great asset to the city manager's office, he's a very good ambassador for the city, too. And it was good to work with you in that.
Bubba.
Well, let me first start off saying that it is now 7-1 in the top of the 8th.
Yeah.
Secondly, I can echo what everybody said about Pat and your leadership. Truer words are never spoken that you keep us on the plan, and we spent a lot of time and effort on the plan. And there's been many times when I scratch my head, shake my head about the color of those signs. But we stick with the plan. We stick with the plan, and I applaud you for doing that, and I thank you. I look forward to serving aside Dr. Hillenberg. What an honor. I hope to do well for the organization and the city. And And Stephen, yes. Outstanding. I love the way that you keep us up to date and involved. You're good. And once we got my email address figured out, you were good at getting me emails. Aubrey, excellent work. Thank you so much for all you've done. And keep on doing it. Don't plan on going anywhere. Other than that, is still excited about the work going on the sidewalks. We're moving dirt, we're pouring concrete. We're actually getting stuff done. We have to fight a little bit with the bridge work that's going on, but we're better than that. So that's it. I appreciate it, and I look forward to the next year.
Great. Well, thank you all for those nice comments and the fact that you've let me lead the organization 2 times in a row. I appreciate that.
Would you like 3?
No, the board has already made its decision. And Ron, if I just can tag along with your comments about the park benches, I have long thought it didn't make too much sense just to have, bench after bench after bench on the properties. I mean, FM 518 is not the most peaceful and tranquil place to have a conversation. So really like Lauren Griffith's idea of having, recessed areas that people could visit and not be
The benches
3 feet
being,
away from traffic. So,
Face to face.
Facing each other.
Face to face.
With a tree in the middle, maybe.
so if we can give that feedback to planning and zoning or city council, I think that is a good idea. What else did I want to say? I guess that's it. Congratulations, President,
Thank you.
new President, Madam President.
Thank you.
And
It's only a team effort. Remember
Yeah, that's
that.
right.
I mean, and I'm going to go back. Sorry. I'm going to go back to the very beginning when Ron had Mr. Gonzalez, thank you, come in. And before that, we were a lot of separate entities. And it did great things to build teamwork for us. And that's what we are. We are a team.
We are that.
Yes. So I appreciate that greatly. Thank you, Pat.
okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank